so be it. And we'll just continue with what we're doing.
That's your choice.
Thanks, Mr. Sanger. Anyone else from the public like to speak? You're next, Gladys.
Judy Fury, 1707.
Could you be a little louder, please?
Judy Fury, 1707.
Can't hear you.
Are you getting it, Janine?
I'm barely.
Too high.
Is that on? See if it's,
The batteries go dead again.
It's red, yeah. Yeah, that was battery again.
Please tell me it's not bad. So. Don't let it be alone. Is there something going to happen with you?
yeah, nowhere.
Is this like the whole country?
Oh, yeah, try that one. Thank you, Mr. Fury.
Judy Fury, 1707.
No, you have to speak right into it.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
Wait, hold it.
You ought to know who I am by now. So Mrs. Zendaya claims not to want to hurt the fire company. It has been learned that she went to the Spring Lake Fire Company regarding providing service to Spring Lake Heights, or sent someone. It appears she is not satisfied with disbanding the fire district, but would also like to disband the fire company. I believe Ms. Zendaya wants to penalize the fire company for buying a fire truck she didn't want, even though she and many others do not understand the benefit of such equipment to our town, and also in cooperation with neighboring towns as necessary. Our fire departments train and work together to provide protection to all our people. Look at the reputation our fire company has for service to our community for 84 years. To my knowledge, we have not lost a volunteer fireman due to a fire in the history of the company. We hope to continue that record, and that requires not only training, but good equipment. Don't allow yourselves to be misled by someone vindictive towards our Spring Lake Heights Fire Department. You will surely regret it, and then it will be too late. Don't vote for the ordinance dissolving the fire district.
Thank you. Gladys, now.
I think you can hear me. Okay. Let us sort of get me drunk. Well, I'm not going to get involved. I have my own views on that. I am concerned once again with the bicycles that are riding the street. The other day, there was one boy with one in the front and one in the back. No helmets on, laughing and joking. That is wrong. Where are our police department? Where's our policemen? Secondly, I'm going down Windsor Drive the other day and down on one of the other blocks, heading towards Alair Road. He's coming up, has his earphones in, never looked to the right or the left. I was going one way and there was another car coming north. He just zoomed in between us. I mean, when is it going to end? Where is our police department?
Gladys, I can only say I know they have stopped children, but
I don't see it, I'm sorry, Mayor.
You haven't seen that?
I don't see it on our street,
Oh, okay.
in my area. They come barreling around from Wall Road. They don't even, drivers don't even stop at Pitney and Windsor. That's a stop sign. There again, though, the bushes are overgrown, and there is a law on the books, because we had to obey, about 56 years ago, that the corners were supposed to be cut down. We did it. No one seems to obey them anymore. We had letters, and then
wait,
we were told,
where are those bushes you just mentioned?
well, for one, you have Alair Road and Windsor Terrace. You have Pitney Drive and Windsor Terrace, the people across the street from me. Now, if the original owner were alive, she would have a fit. You know that, Butch. Someone is taking care of it. They don't take care of it, but there are other corners around. But cars, some of our local people, and from different blocks around us, but they don't even stop for the stop sign. They just come around, and if they don't see anyone right on top of them, they just make the turn. The other week, you had one heading to Wall Road, and one's coming up Picnic. He swings around. He didn't have the right of way because it's a stop street. So you have brakes going, you have children all over, you have people walking. I mean, it's getting absolutely ridiculous.
Glenn,
And,
can I ask you a question, Glenn?
Right?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Would you think it'd be a good idea to look into maybe getting some type of speed bump on Pitney there?
Well, I've mentioned it, but I was told that the fire company and the police department are against it. But to me, it would slow them down. I mean, they say these companies don't like it because it can damage. Well, first of all, I don't think our police or fire, they're anxious to take care of what's going on. But they're not gonna go zooming through at 90 miles an hour. And believe me, you have cars going 50 miles an hour on Pitney swinging. I mean, it's ridiculous.
We can bring up speed bumps again.
Pardon?
That has been brought up since I'm here, so we could bring up speed
Well, it's
bumps.
been mentioned, I've mentioned it to a couple people.
Okay.
And who's enforcing the corners with the hedges? I've spoken to Sarah about it.
I gave that to Joe May, and Joe May is also working on the other one on the corner of Windsor and Alair Road. The big high trees, they've already been cut once. I understand he's talking to them to cut them back even further. And then the one on the corner across the street from you, I just gave that to him, so he's working on it.
And Windsor and Alair Road, they're not necessarily trees, they are bushes, they were planted too far out. So it's.
They have to be cut way back, Barb.
Yeah, they do, but who's enforcing it?
Joe will.
Joe will.
I hope so, but who's gonna enforce the bicycles and the helmets? They don't, I yelled at a couple, where's your helmet? So the next time they went by my house, I knew the kids, they had their helmets and put it on, got halfway down the block.
They
and
took it off.
So this should be mentioned in the school to the parents too, because you have to enforce it. I'm sorry, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Bill?
It seems like that nobody even knew why the fire.
Would you state your name and
company-
address?
Bill Fury, 1707 Brighton. It seems like nobody even knew why the fire company was here tonight, and Mr. Brennan apparently wondered why also. I'm here because I was told that Mrs. Cynthia went over to Spring Lake trying to get them to give coverage to Spring Lake Heights. When she sat up here the last time I was here saying, absolutely, I am not against the fire company 100%, I'm all in their favor. And now we hear that she went over there. So respectfully, it's not a bunch of nonsense. We're worried about what's going to happen to our fire company. Absolutely worried about what Mrs. Cindy is going to do. And if everybody else is drinking the Kool-Aid that she's passing out, we're in big trouble. Because she signed up with the gentleman back on this side that was here before. We had over 600 residents sign a petition to keep the district. The other side had under 300 to get rid of the district. And you people said, okay, the heck with the 600, we're going to go with the 300 or under 300 and move forward with dissolving the district. You have a chance now, if she's getting rid of everything, you have a chance to change your mind maybe and keep the district and stop this nonsense.
Would anyone else like to speak? Please state your name and address.
Donna DiFranzo, 8 Royal Court Drive, Spring Lake Heights. I think one of the issues with the fire department that hasn't been addressed yet is safety and how that's related to the decisions that are being made with the fire district. As a Spring Lake resident, but also with a vested interest in one of the firemen, you know, the last thing I say to him when he leaves is, be safe. And I've been learning more about what that means. And it means a 10-year rotation in the renewal of equipment. I haven't lived in Spring Lake Heights for 10 years, so I don't know if you folks sit on this board for that long. But if you don't, you won't be here when the first cycle of safety equipment should be happening, because that cycle takes 10 years. So by dissolving the district, you're taking out of the hands the safety decisions that are being made by the people who are making them now. And I would truly like to know that these guys are going out there with the right equipment that's been tested, that's been purchased when it needs to be purchased. This isn't just toys. This is life protection. So I'd really like you to think about that.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Would anyone else like to speak?
Excuse me, I just need her name and address.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name and address? She didn't get it in the...
Donna DiFranzo, 8 Royal Court Drive, Spring Lake Heights.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, John.
Is the one not working? Good. We should all sit here every week. We should have this much more comfortable. The first thing that I wanted to say is I wanted to speak up for Janine, that it was a surprise that Rick put his resignation in, and coming in my career from where promotion comes from within, I just wanted to give her good qualities, and the best quality that she has is she's non-political. For all I know, she might make more in her job now and really doesn't want the clerk's job. But if you're considering giving somebody the clerk's job, I've watched her over the years. She's dedicated, and I wrote some of the things down, more than competent. But being non-political, in my eyes, is everything. I mean, she just comes in, she does her work, she's not trying to screw anybody or, work behind the scenes. And that really means a lot, to me anyway, after seeing the people you've had in the past. So, and not Rick. Secondly, some of the things about the fire department, I know they're upset that they can't spend their own money, but there were 2 public meetings, and in those meetings, they had an opportunity to sell themselves, and were asked some simple questions. One was, who went out and mortgaged the firehouse in 2009, and where did the $70,000 that was drawn down go? We got no answers, the public. I'm sure they expect us to pay that mortgage. I'd like to know where the money went. It seems they have an open checkbook over there. What do you call it? A line of credit on the firehouse. I want to know who's getting the money. I contacted the federal IRS, a 5013C. Nobody is supposed to be making any money over there. And when $70,000 they don't ask for, well, they could laugh all they want. Freehold Borough just signed an agreement with their fire department to give $240,000 for the next 6 years. So, I mean, that is some kind of a template that you can use when you're negotiating. This is the borough, I mean, the courthouse, and that's what they chose to do. Now, I disagree. Over the years, we've had this running for maybe 15 years. And I remember Jack Tully sitting up there and going to the Spring Lake Fire Department when they were stamping their feet the last time there was a petition drive and threatening who knows what. Wouldn't you think it would be prudent, if they're refusing to sign any kind of an agreement, to go to somebody and say, would you, in the event that our guys get so mad that they choose not to do this, that we have somebody backing it up? That would only be prudent to me. And it's not a slight to them. Sit down, sign an agreement that you're going to come and be here. And if not, I laid out a plan a year ago, like most other towns do. They use the Department of Public Works. Put some of those fellows on the volunteer fire department. They're here all day, every day during the week, and that would help if that's what you need to do. I believe you're going to save a lot of money, and as far as I'm concerned, and I read the law, they're dissolved. I'll never come out to a February election for at least 5 years, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, John. Would, the deputy chief up there in Hoboken? As deputy chief up in Hoboken, do you have any, I mean, obviously you've had a career in fire safety protection.
I did it for a while.
I mean, do you understand what it is they're saying? As I understand what they're saying is they're saying, look, they're volunteers, and I'm in favor of having a volunteer force, because I think it saves us money.
Almost every town around us is a volunteer force without a district.
That's fine, but what they're saying.
What is the holdup here? I mean,
well, what they're saying is they're saying that they're saying.
they're afraid they're not going to be able to spend all the money they want to spend and have somebody looking over their shoulder.
John, I don't want to ascribe motivations or intentions to them. What I've heard them say is that they have volunteers, and that the volunteers want to fight fires, and they don't want to be involved in the administration, planning, procurement process, okay? The way that it works right now, the commissioners who happen to have, you know, they happen to also be interrelated with the company, they've relied upon those commissioners, and I think that that's an accurate description. They've relied upon those commissioners. Now, you can make an argument that the commissioners didn't do their job in an adequate fashion.
In a prudent way.
Okay, fine. That's fine. But what they're saying is that they need that function that the commissioners had to be performed by somebody or something, and that they're not in a position where they want to do that, or that they're able to do that. So instead, it has to be done by someone or something else. And my question to you is, based upon your experience, what insight, because you've heard the suggestion by Mr. Lane that we should go out like the township of Holmdel and hire somebody. I mean, is that something that you think we should be looking into?
No, I mean, if somebody would want to call me, I mean, I'm not a volunteer because I don't agree with how much money they spent. I'd be perfectly willing to help the town. My plan would be to have somebody from public safety, council person, somebody from finance, council person, somebody from the fire company, and somebody like me if it's not me. We used to have other professional firefighters that lived in this town, but this is not brain surgery or rocket science. If the NFPA tells you you need to do hose tests, do you understand why? Because hose in the city comes flying off the back of the pumper a couple of 100 times during the course of the year. Do you know what I mean? Sling a hose, take off with the fire truck, the hose comes flying out the back onto the ground. Do that 50 or 100 or 200 times during the year, your hose needs to be tested. But do you realize this town has one less fire truck than the city of Hoboken? And we've got 60,000 people in Hoboken and 80,000 a day. They've got 3 engine companies. And when the city council there did a survey, they called in Matrix Consulting out of Massachusetts. They said you could afford to cut a pumper here. Now they have 3 pumpers. That's what we have in town, 3 pumpers. They have 2 trucks, we have 1. They have a heavy rescue, we have a heavy rescue. To me, it's foolishness to have it here. You can consolidate some of these vehicles that cost so much money to maintain. But again, when you ask simple questions at a public hearing, that if I were running something and somebody came to me, here's my books, here they are.
So let me just follow up a little bit. So what you're suggesting then is that we create, in lieu of a commission, we create some, in lieu of the district and the Board of Commissioners, we create some sort of commission that would be encompassed.
Well, that is one way to pay for it. I mean, I think that you people could do it. If you need to know something, I'll give you the phone number to
Truthfully,
call.
John, I really don't think that any council member.
How do you do the police?
We rely upon, I think that point was very well made.
The
We rely
chief.
upon the chief who relies upon paid people.
To what? To tell them how many
Yeah, the police are constantly being trained in what it is, and their equipment needs are constantly being scrutinized and constantly being updated.
Okay, if you give them everything they want.
But again, you don't have the luxury of doing that with a volunteer fire company, because you're gonna be asking volunteers to be doing things outside of fighting.
I mean, if it were me, if I were in charge, here's the truck, here's what you get, there's your volunteer fire company. I mean,
And I
if they
think
say
that,
they.
but that's what they're, see, but don't you see that that's what they're objecting to? They're objecting just to here's what we're gonna give
I'm
you, and you have to
sorry.
live with it, you have to live with it.
When the people vote down a fire truck twice, and you go out and buy it anyway and mortgage a firehouse that was given to the fire department, what kind of trust, if you're talking about trust, is that? Why should the people sit and go for these phony elections? As far as I read the law, Mr. Grex is not even supposed to be paying his wife $200 to count the votes. It's against policy when you're paying your family in a 5013C.
But wait, the district's not a 501c3.
No,
the
not
company
the
is.
fire company.
Yeah,
But he belongs to the fire
But Donna
company.
Gretz counts votes for the district election. So I don't see, I mean,
Okay.
would it have been better served if Donna didn't? Yeah, probably she shouldn't be counting votes, but you gotta have somebody to count votes. So was there somebody else? Who knows? We don't know.
Oh, okay.
That's the type of
That's-
thing. But
here-
wait a second, let me just follow up on
The
something.
district is gone for 5 years. I know that there'll never be a fire election, no matter what ordinance you do or do not pass. It was voted, as the law stated, the petition came in, it didn't say we needed 600 votes. I would have signed the fire department petition. They came around knocking on the door with a fire engine in front of your house,
Wait, let's
saying,
not relitigate
do you
this.
support the volunteer fire company?
John,
Of course they
John,
do.
let's go back to the issue.
Let's not relitigate that, really, let's move forward.
Okay.
So, let's get back to the idea about this having a commission in lieu of a district.
John, last year, the chief of the fire department came in here and said to everyone, I write the budget up. I write the budget, my wish list, and then I give it to the commissioners. All that's happening now, every week they come in here complaining, they're complaining to their new bosses. And I just find it,
I think what they're saying is that they don't have faith that their new bosses have the expertise and experience that their old bosses had. And quite frankly, I'm in agreement with them. But let's talk about an alternative, because you raised a very interesting concept.
and I brought up to Ms. King, if it were me putting somebody on the commission, it would have been somebody I dealt with in the fire department named Bennett. He was the ex-chief. I don't know if he's still in town or still on the fire department or not, but he seemed like a very fair.
But John, listen, if we have a commission, and let's say the commission is two members, two
Well,
council
public
members.
safety and finance.
And the mayor, and then two members from the fire company that they could appoint to the commission, let's say, and then two members of the citizenry.
John, make your point.
So, but let's have, we have all that. Are we gonna pay those people?
No.
So that means we're gonna rely on them to educate themselves about what's necessary, et cetera, and so forth. I mean, I just don't, I don't know
Everybody
that
that's
it's
elected here automatically, what do you want to call it? Did you know how to do everything when you became a councilman and had to vote on very expensive things?
Some of
You
us
have to
still don't
learn
know.
how it goes. And you could take it from them and say, okay, we need a $641,000 fire truck. One phone call to Seegert can say,
John, you're making a rhetorical point that's not responsive to my question.
okay, what's the question?
I'm gonna state it again. If we're not gonna pay those commissioners, then we're gonna be relying upon those commissioners to be educating themselves about the niceties of a very serious, industry of fire protection services. And I just don't know that you're gonna find that. I mean, look, I don't know. I think it's a serious
Well,
issue.
then let's elect some people that do know. how to do it. I mean, they did it in Spring Lake, they do it in Belmar, they do it in Seagirt, they do it in this town. I mean, there are very few towns that have districts because the people are not stupid enough to put these people in charge of taxing, create another taxing authority. That's what they did. And, you know, I'm sorry, I mean,
Well, my thought is this, I mean, what's the difference between what it is you're proposing, having this commission, and having a relationship between the council that Chief Fury had suggested back at the hearing, having a relationship between the council and the Board of Commissioners?
Because there is no relationship. They want what they want. We voted it down. They buy it anyway. They pay 3 times as much for the truck because they want this truck, not that truck. I mean, somebody with some common sense has to sit down and say, it may seem cheap, but if you could do it for half, that's better.
But John, look, you constantly come back to the truck, and I understand and I appreciate, I'm the last person you want to talk to about, but hear me out.
John, who got the $70,000? When they remortgaged the firehouse, we've paid for this fire truck. Let me point this out and write it down if you need a pencil. 13 years we've been paying $30,000 for a fire truck that we voted down, and we still owe $320,000 on it. And somebody in 2009 walked away with $70,000 mortgaging that firehouse, and I'm not going to stop until I find out where the $70,000 went. Now, this shouldn't be a Philip Marlowe situation here. They should just easily say, here's who got the $70,000 or what we did with it.
Okay, John, you're repeating though.
Okay, sorry. I'm just, I don't understand how the dog gets to, you know, the tail gets to wag the dog so easily. This is not mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Madam Mayor, I just have one thing to state, and I will shut up. It'll be quick and fast.
Would you repeat your name and address, please?
Jim Merriman. I just Googled Hoboken Fire Department. 4 stations, 2 ladders, 3 engines, 1 rescue, and a water rescue.
Thank you.
Someone's wrong.
Would anyone else like to speak? May I have a motion to close the first voice of the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Second reading, public hearing and adoption of ordinance number 10, 2011. Janine, would you read the title, please?
Ordinance number 10-2011, an ordinance of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights establishing salaries and wages for 2011.
I'd like to make a motion, please, to open a public hearing on this ordinance.
I'll second that.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, he'll make a motion in a second. Would anyone like to?
You know what? I'm not going to take a motion because I'm voting against the ordinance.
Oh,
By motion, I can't vote against it.
okay. So I have a motion to,
You need to make.
You have to do it over again.
may I have a motion, please, to open a public hearing on the ordinance number 10?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
That's what I was doing.
Sure.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Okay. All in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Okay. Would anyone like to speak to this? It's the salary and wage ordinance, which we brought up last time. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing then, please?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, may I have a roll call now on the adoption of the salary and wage ordinance number 10, 2011? Can I have a motion, please? Oh, I'm sorry, can I have a motion to adopt the salary and wage ordinance number 10?
I'll make that motion.
Nobody's gonna second it?
I'll second it for purposes of discussion.
Any discussion on the salary and wage?
I would like to speak, if I could.
Pardon?
I would like to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to speak, I'm going to be voting against the salary and wage ordinance due to the changes in the free lunch, the paid lunch. First, I would like to bring up the Councilwoman King's arguments for the paid lunch. Can everybody hear me? Can you? Can you hear me? Okay. Last meeting, Councilwoman King brought up an argument, several arguments as to why she felt we should have paid lunches in Town Hall. And I was reading the Asbury Park Press this weekend, and they brought up a fact about Chris Christie and Senator Sweeney being compared to Hitler and also Nazis because of the fact that they were trying to change the pension system. And I felt that the correlation in Ms. King's argument as far as saying that what we were doing, trying to not pay for lunches, was somehow akin to slave labor. And I felt that it was a ridiculous argument in the sense that it trivializes slave labor. Slavery in itself, I mean, as far as it being one of the worst human rights violations that you could ever have, and you're trying to, you make a mockery of your own argument by equating it to women that are paid very well. I mean, the majority of the women in our town hall, the majority, are being paid with salaries and benefits over $100,000. And so, in my own experience, I've never been paid lunch. I have a mandatory 45-minute unpaid lunch. I have to show up at 7 in the morning and I leave at 3:45. I work through my lunch and I don't get paid for that 45 minutes. I get paid for 8 hours. Now, the increases, as far as another argument was the fact that there had been no increases since 2008. And the reason why I question that argument is because I know from speaking with Tracy Armstrong, that Councilwoman King has also been talking about taking away the stipends of the girls. So she's actually, her agenda, I guess, is to reduce 2 employees back to 2005, 2004 salaries. Then the other argument was that other towns do it. And I don't feel that this is a good argument. We're trying to slowly creep and take away certain benefits, trying to change so that we're, be basically fiscally responsible. When we looked as far as why I'm against this, when we looked into the time cards of the people in the office as far as lunches were concerned, when this whole we weren't really aware of this was going on. We found that some of the people in the office were barely working over 6 hours. And, as to whether or not people were taking advantage of it or there was some agreement, for them not to have to work this period of time, we felt that the best way to address it is to just put in the salary and wage ordinance. You work 8 hours. We expect you to work 8 hours, and you get a lunch, but it's not going to be paid. Now, I feel that it is too expensive for us, productivity-wise, to get rid of the paid lunches. Making paid lunches at this time. It's an hour. In the code book, it does not specify how long the lunch is. It doesn't say it's 30 minutes, it doesn't say it's an hour, it doesn't say it's 2 hours. And so right now, we would reduce the productivity in the office by 6 hours. 6 hours per day, 30 hours per week. In my opinion, I feel that the majority of the reason why we were easily able to go from Drew Clark full-time to Joe May part-time was because of this. We're now looking at a situation where our borough clerk has resigned. Our borough clerk has resigned. We have now 40 hours that people are not, that one individual is not working in the office. I'm talking about 30 hours per week, an additional 40 hours, 70 hours per week for the next 4 months that we are going to not have somebody answering the phones, not have somebody wait on the public, not have something, not have somebody just doing the work of the business, of the town. Now, my question is, I have to make a decision of what's the best way to spend the taxpayers' money. I feel that you, the public, want to pay for somebody to go home for an hour, let their dog out, have lunch, watch TV, do a load of laundry. Do you want to pay somebody to go to the dentist? Do you want to pay somebody that goes to the doctors? Or do you want to pay somebody that goes to, does their shopping or personal errand? How about whether or not you want to pay for somebody just to go out to lunch? And then the fact that that 1 hour that we don't pay them, that we do pay them, but they don't work, that's pensionable. That's money that goes into their pension. Shouldn't they work at that time? Then also the fact that workers' compensation follows them. If we pay lunches, if something happens on that paid lunch, that follows them. Now I realize some small businesses, my husband's business, he provides a paid lunch. He has reasons why he does that. It's better for him, but I can tell you one thing, his employees are not making the amount of money that the gals in the office are making. His employees do not get the pension, the benefits that the gals in the office get, and they're not also they don't get the pension. They don't get any pension unless they pay for it themselves. So overall, I just feel that at this time we cannot afford this. I hope that the council will vote against this, especially Mr. Brennan and Mr. Vorbach, if they're going to also claim that we don't need to replace the borough clerk with a new. Last time you said that you didn't think we needed to hire anybody, and now we're going to be going down the full-time person. Plus, you're taking away 30 hours.
Would anyone else like to speak to this? John?
I've been a resident of Spring Lake Heights.
Yeah, to the microphone.
I've been a resident of Spring Lake Heights for 22 years. I have been a resident of Spring Lake Heights for 22 years. During that 22 years, I have had the opportunity to come to this office for countless errands and other items that need to be taken care of. I have served now 2 terms of as being elected representative on this council. I have never seen an assault on our employees like I have just seen. I think what Ms. Zendaya has said about our employees is not only untrue, it is unwarranted and unfair. It is also gender biased and outrageous. I've got to say that the people in our office are industrious, they are hardworking, they work together well as a team, they have good motivation, they run an efficient shop, they spend the time to get the job done regardless of how much time. They spend time over. They've never worked 6 hours a day. They've always worked very long days to get the job done. The idea that they might get a half hour paid lunch does not offend me one bit. I'll be voting against this ordinance, not because of the paid lunch, but because of other excesses that I see in the ordinance.
I've been a resident, as I said before, for over 50 years, and I actually worked for the borough. I believe it was in 1972. I'm not sure the year, maybe 71. I worked from 8 to 4:30, no paid lunch. So where it went wrong, I don't know. Right, so I'm definitely against the paid lunch.
Which, when you paid overtime, 8 to 4:30 is 8.5 hours. Did you get paid overtime? If you didn't get paid lunch, it's 8.5 hours, 8 to 4:30.
With the lunch.
So you got paid overtime.
With the lunch.
With the lunch.
With the lunch. Well, it wasn't paid for. Thank you. With the lunch.
Sarah?
First, I want to clarify something. When we hired our new labor attorney, Patty and I are both on the personnel committee, and there was a multitude of things that we had discussed over a period of time, as were things that I had discussed with the chief of police, also with the mayor and a few other people, in reference to personnel issues. I I am not interested in any way, shape, or form about stipends. That was something that was brought up by Miss Cynthia, and it was on the list, and it has since been dropped. But in reference to the lunches, my concern is these people are coming in here, they work their full day, they do not take a lunch presently, they eat at their desk, they do stay long hours. If on occasion somebody does have to take a lunch, they take a lunch, and of course they're not paid. The lunch situation had been in effect for a long, long time for the employees in the office, probably 25 to 30 years. And these people, as John said, have always been very dedicated. They come in, they go above and beyond, they work past their quitting time if they have a project to finish. The reference to slave labor was just a connotation. I'm not trying to put any kind of a, I guess you could say, label. It just doesn't seem right to me that people cannot have a lunch hour. And even when these people were taking their lunch hour, they rarely left the office. And I just feel that the right thing for this council to do is to let these people have a paid lunch.
Can I remind everyone that the salary and wage ordinance as written and as you have it does not have anything about the lunch in it? Would anyone like to speak to the salary and wage, which is what you're voting on? Anything to do with the salary and wage itself?
And the problem was is that the salary rate was changed to take all.
I think we understand that, but Councilman Brennan referred to the fact that he's not going to vote for it because of something else actually in the salary and wage, which is what we're voting on. John, did you want to speak to that at all? Or? No. So nobody wants to speak to the salary and wage?
Well, as far as I know, there's no increases in here in the salary and wage.
No increases whatsoever?
No increase.
No. It's a zero increase. Would anyone else like to speak to this? May I have a roll call, please, on...
Can I just ask,
Sure, certainly.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, but in the salary and wage, there was something removed, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
And what was removed?
The reference to a lunch.
No, number 9.
Number 9,
On
which
page
was
1,
the reference to a
now it
lunch.
says 8. There was another line in number 9 that
It
says,
stated that
yeah,
the
or 40 hours a week.
employees would work 8 hours and lunch would not be paid. That's all it says.
And that was
And the reason
taken out
why
last
is
time, it
because-
is not in there now.
It's
Nothing.
because the
So
code,
it wasn't on.
the code book does not address how, all it says is to have a lunch, it doesn't say how long it is.
Does it
And I
address-
would want to point out that, you know, the girls in the office, they work very hard. And, you know, I'm not in any way taking that. I mean, I have a good relationship with Colleen and Justine and Janine, I believe. And so, and it's, you know, it has nothing to do with, it has to do with, and I had a good relationship with Teresa too, Teresa Cassidy. And it has, my decisions have nothing to do with personal feelings. If they could work a half day, I'd be happy for them to work a half day, and get paid for 8 hours. But the point is I have to worry about how I spend the public money. And I don't feel that the public wants the money to be spent on
Mayor?
food.
The ordinance as introduced last week, and it cannot be changed now, as introduced, number 9 was taken out, which referred to the lunch. So what we are voting on tonight is strictly the salary and wage. There has been no increase. Does that answer your question?
Well, if you take out number 9, does that mean lunchers are paid?
Number 9 isn't in here.
Well, but I'm saying
Yes,
removing
right, yes,
that means
yes,
it's a paid
yes.
lunch.
You go back to the code.
Go back to code.
That's right.
We want to go back to code.
We went 2 steps forward and we're
We
gonna
go
go.
back to
Why
code.
wouldn't we just, if you wanted to address the lunch issue, why wouldn't you just change the code rather than trying to bootstrap?
It should just be in code. It should not be with the salary and wage. That's why I think we took it out. It doesn't belong in the salary and wage, which gets changed every year. It should just be in code.
And I
And we
think
brought that up.
that's something that can possibly happen, that That's one of the reasons why I felt that there wasn't much thought going into this. This was brought up literally 3 weeks, Councilwoman King brought up the stipends. I sent out an email to everybody saying, this is not what should happen, that the stipend should not be removed because of the fact that the budget.
We're not removing stipends.
We're not doing anything with stipends.
I know, but that was what was proposed to me.
And what we're voting on tonight is the salary and wage it is. We're not changing anything. Do you have a question, Tom? No. You understand that number 9 is out? So we're voting on the salary and wage ordinance number 10, 2011. May I have a roll call? This is to pass, this is the final reading, had the public hearing, this is it. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Brennan?
No.
Ms. Sinde?
No.
Mr. Diver?
No.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanico?
No.
Mr. Vorback?
No.
So motion fails.
Correct.
So we do not have a salary and wage ordinance once again. Introduction and first reading of ordinance number 12. Would the clerk read the title, please?
Ordinance number 12-2011, Article 6 zoning regulations of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights, amending and supplementing section 22-612, schedule of permitted uses, yard area and bulk requirements, schedule of permitted uses, yard area and bulk requirements continued.
And this is simply, I believe it was not the planning board, the Board of Adjustment asked us to try to make it easier for people in town to put a porch on and not have to spend so much money coming to the Board of Adjustment. It's very expensive right now to put a porch on, and they're trying to make it simpler. That's my understanding. May I have a motion, please, to introduce?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. They're lowering the fee, or they're waiving the fees, is that it?
No, what they're trying to do is not have them have to come here by short, they'd be compliant, they wouldn't need a variance anymore.
In other words, whatever your front setback is on the main body of the house, that still applies, but if you wanted to put a porch on and it extends 8 feet from your house that's in compliance over the line, you can put an 8-foot porch on as long as your house is compliant. And then you don't have to pay all the
Still have to be
fees.
in compliance, but it would just make it cheaper for people to do that. Right now, no matter what size porch or anything, it costs a lot of money to come before the Board of Adjustment.
It's simplifying.
The only thing I might suggest to add to it, make it a little bit clearer, sometimes these porches have a bad habit of getting closed in, and they become living space, so maybe if the intention is outside, open porch, make sure that it's outside and open.
Well, that's up to the code person.
I'm just saying that,
Right.
if you put that in the ordinance, then
I agree.
open porch, not.
I would make a motion, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
And how would you like to amend it?
I'd like to add paragraph 5,
Paragraph 5.
which says that.
Could you speak into the mic so that it goes on the tape?
She'll be looking for it tomorrow.
Under no circumstance shall this be deemed to approve the modification of our ordinance to permit closed porches.
I think we're gonna have to send that back to them just to okay it.
Yeah, so the porch introduced, that would be.
No,
great.
they can okay it, right?
I think that, the idea is the open porch, if they will object to change at all, then you can introduce, once they say that.
All right, we have an amended ordinance. Can I have a
I think that,
motion?
we should introduce it, we should send it
I'd like
back.
to make a motion,
Oh,
I'd
to
like
send
to
it
make
back?
a motion to refer the matter to table it and refer it back to the Board of Adjustment.
With that change.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All right,
You need a vote.
You need a vote on
could I have a motion, please, to send this back to the Board of Adjustment?
Table it.
You need a vote back.
Okay, roll call to table.
We're voting to table.
Right, can I have a roll call to table?
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanico?
Yes.
Mr. Vorback?
Yes.
We have Resolution 112, the appointment of the acting municipal clerk. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? May I have a roll call, please, on Resolution 112, appointment of the acting municipal clerk?
Mr. Brennan? Ms. Cynthia?
Yes.
Mr. Diver?
No.
Ms. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mechanical?
Yes.
Mr. Borgo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, Resolution 113. What is 113? I'm sorry. I lost 113.
13 is the shared service.
Shared
It's
services.
the shared service agreement, I'm sorry.
You don't have
Resolution
a written agreement, you
100,
just have the, you don't have a written resolution, you have the agreement.
it's not a resolution?
No, it's an agreement, and the resolution which has to be done will authorize you to sign. Will approve it and authorize it to be signed.
In a resolution?
In a resolution, it's just
Yeah,
paper
okay, so
signature.
Resolution 113 is the shared service agreement. Am I correct?
And the authorization to sign it.
And the authorization to sign. May I have a motion,
I'll make
please?
that motion.
Any discussion on the shared service agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Giver mentioned this has 3 words that were changed on this document. And this document is found on my spot here when I came up here. We discussed in closed session a general outline, but we didn't have a document that we're looking at. I think we should table this to the next meeting to give everybody a chance to review it. It's unreasonable to ask to vote on it tonight.
Any other discussion?
Well, let me just say that I'm in agreement with Mr. Vorback that I don't think we should rush elimination of our municipal court of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights. I don't think that that's something that should be done based upon an agreement which was just provided to the council members tonight on the dais. I see our municipal court as a seminal instrument of our borough government. I am a practicing attorney. I regularly appear in courts throughout the state of New Jersey, federal, state, and municipal. And I know the reputation that the municipal court of the Borough of Spring Lake Heights enjoys. We have, if not the most efficient, one of the most efficient municipal courts in the county, if not the state.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second? I can see people looking, questioning, because they don't know what we're talking
Well,
about.
what the proposal is to eliminate our municipal court and to move it to the township of Wall. And apparently it's for a cost-saving measure, which really the numbers, and you're going to hear projected numbers, but the numbers have not been proved out. I personally feel that the citizens of the borough would not support elimination of one of the fundamental instruments of our government and our identity as a community for not really very modest savings, even projected savings. We're not so poor a community that we can't afford to have our own municipal court. Our municipal court has been around for our existence. During the course of our existence, we've gone through the Great Depression, we've gone through a world war, we've gone through all sorts of strife. The idea that we need to eliminate our municipal court is, I think, to bring dishonor on us and our own legacy as a community with our own identity. And I do not want our municipal court located over in Wall Township. And quite frankly, if the townspeople, I mean, this type of assault or revolution or whatever it is that's going on in this town by some of the people who are up on this dais has gone too far. You know, we have had a very good community. and the continuous assault and hammering of our institutions, like our fire district and our fire company and our borough workers in the office and whatnot and what for, does not bring us credit, but really reveals a lack of sensitivity and understanding about our history and our worth as a community and as a people. And quite frankly, if this passes, I think that the community is going to need to do some deep soul searching about what it is they want to do. And the only way that you're going to correct the course is by coming out and electing people who are going to provide the community with, well, that's how it's done, Rich. You can laugh, but that's how it's done.
I'm
And,
listening
oh,
to
I'm not
the
running,
soliloquy.
but I'm not running,
Neither
okay?
am
But you're going to still be here, and I'm not, okay? So I am, that's a really snide comment, sir.
I think you've been making quite a few.
I mean, that's a.
Would you let John finish, please?
Let's keep going, go ahead.
And it reveals more about your personality than mine.
John, just finish
All right.
what you were saying.
I just cannot see how it is we've started at trying to hold down cost, and we've come to the point where we are eliminating a vital, seminal, fundamental instrument of our identity and our government.
I have some questions, if I may. Rich, for one thing, on page 2 under number 4, it speaks to Exhibit A. There is no Exhibit A. We have not been given anything on Exhibit A. You see where I am? Number 4, operating costs and expenses. There
I
is
think we
no-
had Exhibit A in the executive session, I don't know why
that
it
was-
was not attached.
That was a month or 2 ago. We don't have Exhibit A.
Our attorney is here, the attorney.
I would
who worked with
also
us is here.
have a question about finance. Nowhere here in this document do you tell us how much this is gonna cost. You tell us it's gonna cost $55,000 to use their place of business in Wall.
Correct.
There is nothing that tells us in what we got tonight, how much the judge, the prosecutor, the public defenders, any of them, how much any of them are going to cost.
Those are separate issues.
But it's not a separate issue to
It
the
is a
cost
separate
of
issue to
running
the
the
cost of the
court.
court. Yes, it is.
We still have to pay for the
Understood,
judge.
but that is a separate issue to the agreement.
Well, it's in the agreement. How much is it going to cost us? If the reason we're doing this is to save money, and we still have to pay the judge, the prosecutor, the defenders, all of them, we need to know how much that is going to cost. We need to know what Exhibit A is, which is how much all the supplies and all that. It says in here, if Wall Township finds that they're spending something, forms and supplies, they can just submit a voucher. Well, in our agreement with Spring Lake, a set amount each year was given for supplies and all, a particular amount. This is leaving it open-ended. I have another question about the annual fee. It says the annual fee will be subject to a 4% annual increase. Well, we're not paying our workers here 4%. People in our office are not getting 4%. I don't know how we can agree to pay Wall Township a 4% annual increase to keep pace with salaries and cost of living. I guess if you live in Wall, you get 4%, but here we're giving nothing. I just don't understand that. I do not know whether or not, and I'm asking, has this gone to our JIP for insurance? There's a whole thing on insurance here. Our insurance carrier is JIP. Have they seen this and approved it? It says in this agreement that we will pay an auditor to audit our expenses. How much is that going to cost us? Because I think that has to be put into the whole thing. It says security will be enforced. We will have to provide security. This security shall be in accordance with the approved court security plan. Well, whose court security plan? Wool Township? It says here also that this will provide for, I think it said 2 court sessions a month.
Correct.
I know here in the summer, we have more than 2 for each town. So are we gonna have to pay extra?
I'm not aware we have more than 2 in the summer for each town.
We do
We
sometimes.
had 1,
In the summer,
okay.
we have extra.